In the final, desperate days of World War II, Japan faced a strategic collapse. Its industrial heart was shattered, fuel was scarce, and its cadre of veteran pilots was gone. Conventional warfare was no longer an option. Out of this desperation, a terrifying new tactic emerged. The Kamikaze. The name itself, meaning divine wind, was a reference to a legendary 13th century typhoon that saved Japan from a Mongol invasion. In 1944, this divine wind would be human. The concept was brutally simple. Aircraft were no longer just machines of war. They became guided weapons, piloted by men on a one-way mission. Taisei pilots, many of them barely out of their teens, were rushed through training. Survival skills were irrelevant. All that mattered was takeoff, navigation, and the final, terminal dive. Their planes were often obsolete models, stripped of anything non-essential like landing gear, and loaded with just enough fuel to reach their target. A bomb was fixed directly to the fuselage, turning the entire aircraft into a projectile. The first organized kamikaze attacks were unleashed during the massive Battle of Leyte Gulf, as American forces closed in on the Philippines. Japanese command hoped that the sheer shock and horror of these attacks could force the Allies to the negotiating table. The attacks followed a chilling pattern. Flying low to evade radar, the planes would suddenly climb, then plummet directly towards the decks of American ships. The physical devastation was immense. A direct hit could tear through multiple decks, igniting catastrophic fires and triggering secondary explosions from ammunition stores. Damage control crews were often overwhelmed by the inferno, but the psychological impact was even greater. Sailors found themselves fighting an enemy who could not be deterred, who would not retreat. Every attacking plane was a guaranteed fight to the death. Gunners hesitated, knowing the pilot was utterly committed to their destruction. Between late 1944 and the war's end in 1945, over 3,000 kamikaze pilots were deployed. While only about 1 in 5 managed to hit a target, the toll was significant. Over 30 U.S. ships were sunk, and hundreds more were damaged, with escort carriers and destroyers being the most vulnerable. In response, Japan expanded the concept, developing manned torpedoes, called kaiten, and even rocket-powered suicide planes. So why embrace a tactic that consumed so many lives and resources for such limited military gain? The answer is a mix of military doctrine and sheer desperation. Japanese military culture prized sacrifice over surrender, and leadership clung to the belief that a profound moral shock could overcome their material disadvantages. It's a mistake to think all pilots were fanatics. Many farewell letters reveal young men filled with fear, doubt, and a sense of resigned duty. Refusal was technically an option, but the cultural weight of dishonor was immense. As the war progressed, American countermeasures became increasingly effective. Better radar, more combat air patrols, and advanced anti-aircraft shells with proximity fuses dramatically increased the kill rate for kamikaze planes. By the Battle of Okinawa, the losses for Japan were staggering. Yet the attacks continued, driven by an ideology that had completely overridden sound military strategy. Ultimately, the kamikaze campaign failed. It did not stop the Allied invasion. It did not force a negotiated peace, and it could not save the regime. It stands as a stark testament to the final, exhausted collapse of a nation's options, a signal that there was nothing left but sacrifice. The divine wind had blown itself out. Thanks for watching, and if you found this history interesting, consider subscribing for more.